I am an introverted person. I used to think that talking to people was a waste of time, and I didn't know how to have a conversations. And I didn't even know how to make friends. But then I discovered that the best connections, partnerships, even potential clients can be found anywhere. Have you ever felt nervous speaking? If so, you are not alone. But what if you could turn that nervousness into confidence and use it to drive better results? Your professional career, your ability to communicate effectively is directly linked to your success. The stronger your communication, the greater your impact. Everyone can talk, but not everyone can communicate effectively. If you speak out of anger, you may give the most passionate speech of your life, but it will truly connect and inspire. Today, we'll uncover how to master your words, influence others, and lead with clarity and confidence. In this episode, we are joined by a communication and leadership expert, Jayne Latz. She'll share practical strategies to help you speak with confidence, build influence, and grow your network, and level up in your professional career. Join us as we dive into the essential strategies for speaking confidently and build influence. Hi, Jayne. How are you doing today?
I'm great. And I loved your introduction because you and I share in common that we were both introverts. I was an introvert for literally the first half of my life.
Thank you. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here. We are big fans of your work, and it's truly a pleasure to have you on the road to the victory. Let's dive right in. Why is communication so important for leadership?
Communication is the backbone of effective leadership. I love what you said. The stronger the communication, the greater the success. A leader's ability to articulate their vision will help to align with the team and foster collaboration and drive results. It's not just about talking, it's about listening, understanding, and inspiring. Great leaders use communication to build trust, resolve conflicts, and create a great sense of purpose. And there's research. You mentioned my YouTube channel, which, I'm passionate about sharing content at the Communication Trainer. So you might have heard this already, but there's research out of Austin, Texas, that says that how you say something matters twice as much as what you are actually saying. And that is the backbone of effective leadership.
How can someone communicate their thoughts clearly and effectively to convince others, especially in business and entrepreneurship?
So I could speak about this topic literally for hours. But let's sort of start with bullets. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So number one, let's talk about clarity, which is actually broken up into two parts. Clarity in terms of the actual articulation of the message. One must avoid mumbling and make sure they speak with clarity. There's also research that shows that over $1 billion is lost every year in corporations due to lack of clarity. But part two of clarity is clarity of the message. When people get nervous or excited, they tend to ramble. They use a lot of jargon, and this becomes difficult for people in business to follow. So it's important to organize your thoughts logically, state the main idea, support it with evidence, and finish with a clear takeaway. I have conducted research with CEOs because I speak to groups of CEOs around the country, United States, and I ask them which communication behavior interferes most with business success. And the choices are mumbling, speaking clearly, rambling, filler words, strong accent, and a soft voice. 93 to 100% of CEOs rate rambling as the #1 communication behavior that will interfere most with business success. So again, the clarity in the delivery of the message is key to being an effective leader. But there's also connection, confidence. We'll talk a lot more, I know, about building confidence in how we're saying what we're saying, but that's key. And then lastly, it's important for leaders to invite engagement, ask questions, listen, and adjust based on feedback.
Thank you for your insights. How can someone overcome the fear of speaking?
That's easy. At Corporate Speech Solutions, we have a team of experts that are trained in fear reduction techniques. The individual just has to take that first step to invest in themselves, to do the work, and to practice the strategies. So one such example is simply breathing. For those in your audience that take yoga, it's easy. They know the importance of deep breathing. That tool can be applied to speaking to any audience, whether it's 1 or 1,000. A few years ago, I had a client. He was the president of a hedge fund, a financial institution in New York City. He was very clear. He was very comfortable speaking to 500 people, but he wasn't comfortable speaking to 30 to 50 people. And he would present to about 30 audiences a week.
Cool.
We talked about breathing. I shared with him the exercises. And at the end of our training, he said that just simply the breathing exercises changed his life, and he was able to travel the country, do his presentations, and he reduced all of that fear of speaking.
Leadership and confidence. Jayne, what do you think is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs when it comes to building leadership skills?
As entrepreneurs, we often have to wear many hats. I'm sure you experience this,
Yeah.
I experience this, your audience experiences it. We're marketing, we're sales, we're operations. While this hands-on approach is critical in the early stages, it can also hold back later on. I would say one of the key challenges is developing emotional intelligence, being self-aware, empathy, the ability to inspire others. Strong leaders understand that communication isn't just about directing, it's also about that listening. When I started my journey as a speech language pathologist, one of the first courses I took in college was on how communication is a two-way street. There's a speaker and a listener. So we must always keep in mind that we have to listen even more than we speak.
Thank you. Persuasion skills. What are some key techniques you recommend for being more persuasive when speaking to clients and partners?
This is a big question that we get from a lot of prospects and clients. So to be more persuasive when speaking, you must establish credibility. And to communicate credibility, you must be sure to communicate clearly and strategically. Share your points, your stories, or data, but in a strategic manner. Number 2, you need to understand your audience. It's not a one-size-fits-all audience. You have to know who your audience is and tailor your content for your audience. Use storytelling. All our clients right now want to improve storytelling. I love that you started when you shared about being an introvert, because immediately there was that strong connection. I was like, wait, we can talk for hours about what it was like to be an introvert. So our clients need to develop this power, the power of telling a compelling story. Just this week, we had a great story that I want to share. We've worked for several years with a client. He works at a federal agency in the United States in the Washington, D.C. area. Last year, he set his eyes on a director position. He was committed to our training. He wanted to work not just on developing strong communication skills, but on the interview technique, because you can imagine if it's a federal agency in the United States, it was quite a grueling interview process. And I was notified just this Friday that he received the director position. And I wrote him and I congratulated him, and I wrote down the quote because this is what he wrote back. He said, "I believe you deserve some credit for this promotion, as working with your company and Alina has helped me gain greater confidence. Alina was incredibly dedicated over these past 5 years. She helped refine my speech style to ensure clarity, enabling me to communicate more effectively." That's persuasion.
How can I overcome shyness and become a confident speaker?
I was incredibly introverted, as you know. I couldn't even raise my hand in classes. I remember sitting in the class. I knew what I wanted to ask, but I just couldn't get my hand up in the air because I didn't really want to hear myself, and I was doubting myself. When clients come to me with similar concerns, which is frequently, I can honestly feel their pain. And in the business world today, it is important to exude confidence, even if we don't feel it. So we provide many tools so that, as they say, you can fake it till you make it. And one such tool is developing the confident voice. I share this with my audiences all the time. And if you've watched my videos at the Communication Trainer, you've probably learned how to develop that strong, confident voice. But let me share a little exercise here with your listeners. So if they want to exude confidence in a meeting, they have at least one tool. So it's simply filling your lungs, taking a deep breath. Think about a string pulling you up to the ceiling. Inhale for the count of 3. And then a slow exhalation for the count of 5. Now, your audience might say, okay, well, what does that have to do with speaking? Well, now we're going to take that breath. It's all coming from the belly. This breath is coming from the belly. We're going to take that breath. We're going to inhale for the count of 3. And instead of just breathing out, we're going to count to 15 on the exhalation. I'll do it. And everyone else who's muted can practice it with me. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You may have noticed that I stayed just as strong from number 1 to number 15 because I had the power from my abdomen, from my belly. It's called diaphragmatic breathing. Again, let's fake it till we make it. When you're in an important meeting, just take that breath and exude confidence. In my book, Communicate Up the Corporate Ladder, How to Succeed in Business with Clarity and Confidence, I have many more of these exercises, and it is available on Amazon. There are great exercises to easily practice to project your voice so you can always sound confident.
That ties to my next question. How to speak like a leader?
Yeah, it's so important. You know, we work with leaders, emerging leaders and leaders, CEOs of large organizations. So number 1, speak clearly and concisely as we talked about. Sound confident, avoid rambling. Pause for impact. This is one technique I'm passionate about. And again, I'm going to give you an example. And this is an example. I'm going to use a quote from Winston Churchill, and I'm going to give it to you twice. Once, the way people speak when they're passionate or in a rush, and one, using the pause for impact. And I want you to hear the difference. Winston Churchill once said the three most difficult things a man can do is to climb a building leaning towards him, kiss a woman leaning away from him, and deliver a public speech. Now, listen to the same quote with pausing. Winston Churchill once said, the three most difficult things a man can do is to climb a building leaning towards him, kiss a woman leaning away from him, and deliver a public speech. A leader must use those pauses to add impact and to inspire others. Eduardo, did you notice the difference with the first and the second delivery?
Very big difference.
Powerful, right?
Yeah, very powerful. It actually makes you understand
the third
message.
Exactly. You could understand it. You could get the humor. Yes. There's more, though, that a leader needs in order to be an effective communicator and to communicate their message like a leader. Be confident. We just talked about the powerful voice. Speak in a steady, calm, firm voice. Make eye contact. So important. Use stories. How many stories have I shared already? Focus on body language and always end strong. So yes, there are many ways for an individual to learn techniques so that they can always sound confident as a leader.
Winning friends and building connections. Networking is crucial for any entrepreneur. What are your top strategies for building genuine relationships and winning people over through your communication?
So all the points I've shared so far are essential in networking and, communicating as an entrepreneur. I wish that every entrepreneur could work with my team at Corporate Speech Solutions, as I have met with so many small business owners over the 20 years I'm in business, and they just haven't mastered the techniques we've talked about. As I said, I learned in day one, or one of the early days in my speech training, about communication being a two-way street. People always think I'm a great networker, which I don't think I am, but simply because I ask a lot of questions and I'm interested in the other. Too many entrepreneurs meet people and all they want to do is do the talking and selling. But first, you have to build a relationship before you sell. Also, as an entrepreneur in networking, you must connect with eye contact. Don't look at your phone when it dings or bings. Don't look around at what's going on, but connect with the people that you're speaking with.
Build that rapport, that connection. Yeah?
It's imperative.
Jayne, how crucial is active listening, leadership, and communication? And how can mastering these skills strengthen connections and build trust with others?
So, as I've talked about before, they often say we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should listen more than you talk. And that is probably the key. Learn good questions so that you can help to listen more as a leader. Be interested. I always say to people when I meet them, I always say to others, when I meet people, there's 2 types of people. They ask me what I do. I tell them. They go radio silent. They don't really have a follow-up question or an interest. Then there's other people who ask very good questions about what's a communication trainer? What is it you do? How can you help people? There are so many questions you can ask other people when you're meeting them. But unfortunately, that active listening is often a lost art in leadership.
Yeah, body language. How much of impact does body language have on communication? And what are some simple body language techniques that can help entrepreneurs to appear more confident and trustworthy?
So body language is actually 55% of the initial impression you make in just 30 or 60 seconds. And again, people forget about that. They forget about the importance of that. We're on the virtual platform right now, so let's talk how to make that impression non-verbally right here. So I like to say, first of all, you and I are both in the perfect position. I like to say, take up a third of the screen. We both have a third over here, a third over here, and we're right in the middle. We're sitting up tall, so we're exuding confidence even on the virtual platform. But let's go head to toe. We want that posture. Think of a string going up to the top of the ceiling so that everyone watching this can sit up tall. We certainly want good eye contact on and off the virtual platform. We want to avoid fidgeting, whether it's playing with a pen, ladies out there playing with their hair, swiveling on a chair. We want none of that. You and I are both solid. We own our space. That's a phrase I love. Own your space, again, on or off the virtual platform. I like to use an expression, an acronym, when I talk about executive presence. It's all about executive presence today. People are always asking about executive presence. So I want you to think about TED, just like a TED Talk, TED. Watch your tone, your eye contact, and your delivery. And lastly, do not forget to smile.
Jayne, what do you think is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs when it comes to building leadership skills and how they can overcome that to gain more confidence in their role?
So effective communication is crucial for entrepreneurs because it directly impacts their ability to build relationships, as I talked about, pitch their ideas, and lead teams. Entrepreneurs often don't realize their pitfalls, and they don't realize when they're not connecting with a listener. They're just not communicating their points effectively, and they don't invest in themselves. So if I had to pick one challenge, and entrepreneurs that are watching this, just don't yell at me, but it is the lack of insight into the importance of communication. The lack of insight into the importance of their communication. I often joke, because of course we all want to build our business, but I often joke seriously, but I think that everybody in business should invest in a communication analysis with a communication expert. Whether it's with corporate speech solutions or any other expert, that analysis will give insight into their communication challenges. After all, until you become aware of your blind spots, you can't gain the insight into the improvement. When we do our analysis, we then provide a roadmap to make the changes to build the success. So every entrepreneur needs to gain insight into their communication.
Communication. In your opinion, what are the key qualities that makes a good leader, and how can someone develop those qualities to lead effectively?
Sure. The key qualities for a good leader when it comes up to communication is clarity, empathy, confidence, adaptability, integrity. To lead effectively, a leader must focus on the constant growth and self-awareness, as we've talked about. Leadership's not about perfection, it's about progress. So start, as I've mentioned, by strengthening those key traits. Seek feedback from others, because without that feedback, you won't gain insight insight. I always feel for the individual, they're not getting it's their communication that's holding them back, but they weren't given. This is why our analysis is so important. When you make that commitment to clear and powerful communication, you don't just manage, you impact and inspire others with that strong communication.
Thank you, Jayne. As an entrepreneur, your personal brand plays a key role in the success of your business. Public speaking allows you to showcase your personality and values, help you connect with your audience on a deeper level. Effective communication is a paramount for entrepreneurs as it enables the establishment of stronger relationships with customers, partners, and employees. This not only sets you apart from competitors, but also contributes to the growth and success of your business by engaging and influencing a diverse audience. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed this conversation, you can find Jayne Latz social media information in the description below. Thank you, Jayne, for joining us on the road to the victory. We also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. Don't forget you can watch this episode on YouTube and listen on Spotify. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where we share our daily road to victory. Until next time, keep striving on your own road to victory.